October 18th, 2002, Friday. Magnificent fucking day. I'll do a quick run through. Worked 1:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., then cruised with Franklin and his friend Quentin to the Beaumont Club. It took 1.5 hours to get there with traffic. Eric, Elliot, Daniel, and Lance joined us. Got to drink at the concert. Further Seems Forever played first, and they did justice to all of their songs. They played Snowbirds and Townies, The Bradley, The Moon is Down, Pictures of Shorelines, and two new songs. This isn't written, but I remember the lead singer yells out, "This is off our new album, or forthcoming album, How to Start a Fire." And I remember Elliot looking at me, and I looked back at him. Both kind of rolled our eyes because it seemed like they were going kind of more of a hardcore, like something. I don't know. Back to the written. I don't like where the new sound is going. Thus, where that line comes from. Something Corporate played second. We stood on a bench all night, slightly elevated above the crowd, so all of the moshing and crap didn't affect us. There was a huge fucking speaker right in front of us, so we couldn't see the band too well, but the spot was primo. Something Corporate kicked ass. They didn't play anything that wasn't on Leaving Through the Window. They played I Woke Up in a Car, If You See Jordan, Punk Rock Princess, Fall, Hurricane, The Formal Weather Pattern, and Drunk Girl. Finch then came on, and they were great like always. Then Newfound Glory. Elliot and the guys sat in the back for Newfound Glory, but I stayed up front. At one point during the show, I went to get a beer and bought a Something Corporate t-shirt and talked to Andrew. He remembered me from Warped Tour. Cool, huh? This isn't written either, but I bought this green Something Corporate shirt that kind of looked like the Rolling Rock logo, but it said Piano Rock. And I was buying it from Andrew. Then he's like, "Do you want me to sign it?" I was like, "Yes." And he kind of looks at me all weird. I was like, "Well," and I told him, "If you sign it, I'm not going to wear it." And I'd already had like the shirt from Warped Tour that had everybody sign it. So now, I did remind him that as a dude at Warped Tour told him that Constantine was better than Freebird, and that's why he remembered me. Back to the written. Newfound Glory played mostly new stuff, but a few tracks from Nothing Gold Can Stay. Ian and Cyrus from Newfound Glory, whom Elliot talked to for a while, both signed my ticket, as well as Steve and Jordan. There's the name I was looking for, Steve. After the show outside, we found Andrew McMahon again and talked to him for a while. I remember we were talking about books, and he was currently reading Trainspotting by Irvine Welsh. And we talked about their first record, Ready Break. I also met some of the guys from Finch again. Then I talked to William Tell and Brian Ireland from Something Corporate. I asked Brian about the two original members from Something Corporate whom played on Ready Break. He said there was only one new member, which was William. The old member, Ruben, left to pursue another career. So that means that Clutch's real name is on the Ready Break album. His picture doesn't look anything like him, so I thought it was someone else. So now I know Clutch's real name. Brian asked me not to tell anyone. That used to be some sort of weird secret. They're trying to keep Clutch's identity from people just for fun. Across from the Beaumont Club, some Texas A&M guys who were in town for a game or something were out doing this thing called the Midnight Yell, a ritual they do every night before a game, I guess. It sounded like some Nazi rally. So my group of guys, Andrew and William from Something Corporate and some dudes from Finch, all went over and checked it out. A guy from Drive Thru Records filmed all of us mocking them. A guy from Finch went up behind a coach from A&M and faked humped him for the camera. So out there somewhere is footage of me and my concert buddies hanging out with the drive-thru crew. Now this isn't written either, but it's one of the most vivid things I remember from the concert. And I'm kind of surprised I didn't write it down, but we were kind of standing on the sidewalk, and Daniel, a friend of ours, was kind of balancing himself like on the curb edge. And Steve from Newfound Glory walks by and just like shoulder bumps Daniel like off the curb, like onto the ground. I don't think he fell over him. He caught himself. But he just like Steve from Newfound Glory just knocked into him, then knocked him off the curb for no reason whatsoever. And then he kind of turns around, smirks, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." And then Daniel's like, "No, that's cool. I would have done the same thing." And just kind of like, we're just like, what the fuck? And then like we all started talking shit on Newfound Glory. And then we started this kind of running gag where next time we saw Newfound Glory, we're going to jump them and start a fight. But I had to look up real quick to remember, because it's either Steve or Chad. Is one of those guys. I couldn't remember who it was, but I remembered his face, but I forgot what his name was, so I had to look it up, and sure enough, it was Steve. And only reason I wanted to tell that story is because I know it comes back later, so I want to make sure like that part of that is there, because, I mean, it comes back 20 years later, and now I know more about Steve. Fucking Steve. We finally left and went to Denny's. Then I left and went to Kelly's. And what a time I had there. I got there about 2 a.m. and we got naked about 2:20 a.m. She decided to play tease all night and was taking her time with everything. I kissed her all over her body and rubbed my piece all over her, and then she kissed me all over, making sure to tickle the hell out of me by kissing all around my cock, but not it. I was holding the bed rail and convulsing because it felt so good but bad, you know? I did something tonight that I never have before and may do more. I sucked on her labia like an earlobe, sucking a piece of the flesh into my mouth, licking and gently biting it. I don't know if it felt good for her, but I enjoyed it. We then began the main deal and did all our best to make her come. We fucked and fucked and fucked until my dick was dead and barely hard. We had some close calls, but after it went partly limp, it kept coming out 2 seconds before. But we struggled on, and I made her come for the first time. And then I put my juice all over her body. Now, a little while back, when I said I wouldn't mention sexual stuff with Kelly, I didn't mean it too seriously. I will just refer to her with more respect, ? In the past, I wrote about fucking her to get off, and that isn't the case anymore. It simply is her. She means everything to me, and she makes me feel good, and it's great to go to bed with. I do love her. I got home about 4 a.m. It sucks because I have a meeting at 11 a.m. End quote. Woke up to the thought of you. It's December. Remember how cold it got in my garage? You sat with your legs crossed and your heart lost. Mine lost in losing you. Something corporate. Song. I don't want a job.